Today, I've been reflecting on the difference between training and working out. This might seem like a small distinction, but it represents two completely different mindsets, and it makes all the difference between the progress you're making. So most people are in working out mode. This applies to the gym, their workouts, their life in general. But just to use the gym analogy, working out is getting a sweat on. It's ticking the box. It's showing up. It's I did something today to make myself feel better or less of a slob. And that's fine. It gets you moving, gets you going, and it's better than doing nothing. But the trainer mindset is very different. Someone who's training is working intensely towards a goal. They have a direction. They have a end point they're getting to, and each training session they do has a purpose. They're goal-driven and working towards something. It might be a race they're going to compete in. It might be an event they're going to do. It might be a time they're going to run. It might be a weight they want to pick up in a few trainer blocks time that they're training intensely towards. And it's so different. If I go into the gym and I ask somebody, what you training today? And they say, oh, getting a workout in, doing some upper body. I know they're not very serious, in all honesty. I know they're not serious about their goal. If you see an athlete and you ask them what they're training, they'll tell you exactly what they're training. They'll tell you very specifically what day of the week it is, what reason they're training this, how it fits in their wider trainer block. At least if they think you're receptive to hearing that, they'll definitely know on a lot of levels what their training goal is and what they're training towards. So I learned this lesson very young. At the age of 11, I joined my first running club. And within a few weeks, I was in the running ecosystem. And I was entering events at the weekends, and I was training towards them. And I quickly realized that I'm having to do certain sessions in order to be able to compete better on race day. During the winter months, we were generally doing a lot of endurance stuff, longer runs, lots of mileage-based stuff. And then towards the kind of springtime, we do more kind of the road race stuff, the kind of speed endurance, 5K, 10K kind of distances. And then in the summer, which was the main event that I wanted to compete in, 1,500 meters, we did a lot of speed work, 400 reps. And everything was very specific, very time-based, towards very clear goals. And for me, my dad trained me for most of my youth, at least from like say 12 till around 16, 17. And every year after the track season ended, towards like August time, we'd sit down, we'd reflect on the season that happens, and we'd set goals for the season ahead. So if 9 months time, we started talking about which events I want to peak for, what times I want to run in which races, how fast I want to go. And from this would basically dictate everything we're going to do for the next 9 months. My dad would then go to work in terms of planning that training for that block, but we're working towards something. And even now I do powerlifting, and though it's very different style of training, the methodology, the kind of thought behind it is exactly the same. Most powerlifters train in these kind of 12-week blocks. That's what I follow. And over 12 weeks, you're trying to get to almost like a peak strength after those 12 weeks. And then you break those 12 weeks down into these 4 to 6 week cycles, which we call mesocycles, where you're generally starting out with higher rep stuff, lower intensity. And as the blocks improve or increase, you're increasing intensity and lowering volume. And all of this is to get a desired training effect of being strong in 12 weeks time. If you didn't have that goal, a competition, or something to aim for, you just get a workout in. You do a session. But training is very different. And with that, you learn so much. So I do a 12-week powerlifting training block. I either achieve the goal, like great, which means the training I set out was very good and it led to the training effect I wanted, or I take that feedback on board and go, right, you missed the target. On the 12-week mark, you weren't as strong as you wanted to be. What happened? And that will dictate what I do in my next trainer block. If I was working with a good coach, he would be able to see my failed efforts. Let's say after 12 weeks, I try a max effort squat or a max effort deadlift and I fail. My coach would be able to look at the video or even my feedback based on what I told him and say, oh, Adam, you broke down because of this reason and this reason. We will work on these things to address that weakness for next trainer block, and then we'll attack it again next time. So that's the difference between working out and training. Training, you're working towards a goal. You're trying to get somewhere, but it's very intentional. It's very effortful, and there's these feedback mechanisms which you're learning from, and you're building layer by layer, day by day, a plan to execute and to get somewhere. All right, it got me thinking, Yes, this is a great analogy for training in general and the gym training compared to working out. I see a lot of people working out rather than training, but it's also so applicable to life. Got me thinking, are you training for life or are you just working out? And working out to me is showing up. Yeah, it's better than not showing up. It's better than doing nothing. But if you're not being intentional, you're not really pushing yourself, you're not going to get the most out of yourself. So the question to ask, which I'm asking myself, is what am I training for? What am I trying to get better at? And when you're training for something, you have to have a goal. It has to be specific. It has to be something that you're trying to get to or working towards, whether it's a skill to master, whether it's an event you're going to compete in, whether it's something to showcase your skill. Because if you don't, you're always just kind of plodding along. You're always just doing enough, getting your workouts in, you're showing up, but you're not really performing. So what I want to hammer home with this is you don't need to be an athlete to train like an athlete. Not in terms of their exact training mechanisms or what they do in the gym, but the mindset of are you training or are you working out? And just be honest with yourself. Look at the areas of your life that you value, that you want to improve. And can you honestly say you're training in those areas? You're trying to progress and get better? Or are you working out? In which areas would you like to be training? Which areas are important to you? Which skills do you want to develop? Which attributes do you want to gain over time? And how could you make that more like training rather than just showing up? And that's the thing I was reflecting on today and how important it is to be training, to be working towards things, to have clear directions, and to not fall for the trap of just showing up. Yes, working out's fine. Yes, showing up is fine. It's better than not. You get a clap and a pat on the back from most people who don't show up or work out. But there's a higher level. And the higher level is training towards your goals. And the final thing on this is it's specific to you. You decide. You decide what you want to get good at, what you want to train at, and put yourself to the test. You'd be amazed how much progress you can make in almost anything over, say, 6 to 12 weeks. That kind of span, whether it's the body, whether it's the mind, you can make so much progress. If you decide, I want to get better at this, I'm going to create a 12-week training program where I show up every day, I measure things, I'm making progress week to week, I'm seeing how that progress stacks on each other, I've got progressive overload built into that model. In 12 weeks' time, guess what? You've either made a lot of progress or you've learned a hell of a lot about what doesn't work for you so you can try again the next time. And that process of training for life rather than showing up is so important.